Okay, let's try this again. Let's see. We got the our text that I already set up with a motion to it. Just basically a simple motion, just so we can get an idea what's going on here. It's basically what you're gonna get when you create your mat from the body when you have your black and white image. It's basically all you need, except right now it's set up to where basically the text has its own alpha channel, so we want to get rid of that to simulate what it would be like if we had a mate from our green screen or whatever. So we're going to pre-compose this, move all, and we'll call this text mate, or, well, yeah, text comp, we'll just call it, doesn't really matter. Alright, so now basically it's like a black and white video that we're going to get our outline from. So let's go ahead and duplicate this, and we'll add an effect to the top layer, which will be find edges, and we will turn this into stencil luma and invert the find edges, and then we have an outline of the black and white image. Okay. Next, once we create our outline, we have to do the auto trace on it. So let's go ahead and make, what we should do is I should turn this into a pre-comp just to clean it up. So we don't have to pre-comp this, but let's just go ahead and pre-comp it. We'll call it auto trace comp. Okay, just so it's one single thing. Just helps to keep it nice and clean. So we'll go to layer, auto trace. Remember, we didn't have to do that. We didn't have to comp it. We could have just auto traced it just the way it was. These are all my settings. Just might want to take a quick look at that. And I apply to new layer. That's really important right there. Apply to new layer. Now let's hit OK. Let me pause this while it's tracing. Okay, done tracing. So as you will see, if I turn my masks back on, we have the outline trace just fine. And I like keeping my masks off when I'm working with them. So we can also turn auto trace comp off, because we only need the mask of it now. That's the one we want to work with, because we don't want to try to echo the black outline that's unmasked, because if we do, it's going to be trying to echo the whole image, and we don't want that. It just takes a lot longer to process. So we just want to auto trace, so only the outlines will be affected by any filter that we add to it. So let's go ahead and add an echo to it. Go time echo. Now, to help us see this better, let's add a new solid to it, just temporary solid, put it right in back of it, so we can see what we're doing. Let's go to a point to where we come out like this, so we can see the length of it. Okay, back to auto trace, number of echoes, we'll say about there. Could be anywhere, wherever you feel like doing it. And then once you get your echoes where you want them, you can also play with the echo time. You know, it depends on how far apart you want the echoes, so I'll just leave it at default. Turn the decay down just to where you don't see the back at a certain point, you know, at the long point. Just got to get this just right. Doesn't have to be perfect wherever, you know, you want it. And then, of course, turn down the starting intensity. Try to even the lines out a little bit. Now for this, we may want to turn the solid off. Now that doesn't really help. That should work, I think. So the displacement's going to see all that. It's going to see the real faint lines. I think that'll work. Maybe a little bit more. Let's try cranking it up a little bit more. I just don't want if it's too bunched up, you'll see, you know, you'll get a kind of funky look. look to it. So yeah, let's bring it down, maybe turn the decay back up a smidge. Like about there. We just don't want it too bright in any areas. Okay, that should work. We can always adjust it later, so it really don't matter. Let's try turning my echoes down a little bit, possibly, because there's just too many echoes for this, for the particular scene. There, turn the decay down. That should work better. I just don't want them bunched up. It's just going to really depend on the speed, because right here it kind of slows down. That's why you get the bunch up. It's fast here. That's why it extends more. But you know, during the scene, if it gets to a slow point, you're going to get a big bunch up, and you know, it just doesn't look as good. But you can also keyframe it so to change all that. So, but for this, we'll just go ahead and leave it short, and that should work pretty good. All right, now that we have that, let's turn off our black. Just all we had to do was see it, and go ahead and add a background to it. Right there. Got our background. Now what I want to do is change or add a brightness and contrast to it. Above the echo, turn it to -100 to give it a black. You know, turn it back to where it's supposed to be. That looks good right there. Okay, leave that the way it is. That should work perfectly. Okay, let's go ahead and once we do that, we can pre-comp it. Just the one layer, the auto trace layer. So let's see, traced, we'll call it, well, let's call it outline. Displace outline. Just try to keep things to where it's easier to understand, because we can't use it as a displacement map unless it's pre-comped where there's no effects, because it won't see it. The displacement map won't, you know, it'll get confused, so we don't want that. Okay, so let's select our background, go to distort, displacement, choose our outline, luminance, set both things to luminance. Then let's turn, for now, we'll turn off the displacement outline just so we can get the displacement right. Just adjust it to where you want it. It's just going to depend on your taste for the particular shot. So there, and make sure wrap pixels is on, because if you don't, you'll get a funky look. Let's see if I can show it to you here. When you get to an edge, it'll kind of peel the edges up. Not there. Wait. Move over here. I'll show you if you have to go crazy on your displacement, it just peels the edges like that. So turn wrap pixels on, and kind of helps if you go a little bit overboard on it. Okay. Gives us that nice effect there. Now, if you don't like the sharp edges as much, you know, you want to soften your edges up, what you can do is go back to the outline that we added the effects to. And by the way, I double clicked on that and it brings me back. You can add a blur after the echo. So blur, fast blur, change it to, you know, just to where it just starts to blur. 3, and then you'll see it, it softens the edges up a little bit for your displacement. And what we'll do is create a snapshot of that just so you can see the difference. Let me turn this off. We'll go back.